Yes, good evening, folks. Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. The international break's finally over, and we're back to proper football tomorrow at Celtic Park, where we face Dundee. A lot to get through tonight, but there is a big block of fixtures coming up for Celtic in this next 4 weeks before the October international break. This is always the stage of the season where you have these three international breaks 1 month after the other, but these next 6 games are huge for Celtic in terms of solidifying a position at the top of the table, but also the start of the Champions League during the week. It's big game after big game for us. Really exciting time of the season, and hopefully we can build on that positive result that we got at Ibrox. Looking back, before we go into that game, away against Rangers, there was a lot of negativity following the 2 games against Kilmarnock and St Johnstone. We really underperformed. The injuries were obviously killing us, and they still are to some extent. We'll come to the new injuries a bit later on, but there was a real sort of negativity overhanging us a wee bit going into that game. But I think we saw a proper performance. I think we saw a proper coaching performance for Brendan Rodgers as well, despite the fact we were missing some big players like Carter Vickers and Hatate, who are absolutely key factors in this team and have been for the last 2 seasons. Going to Ibrox with an experienced back four that haven't played together, and coming away with 3 points was a really, really good outcome for us. I think the manager did brilliantly in terms of how we set the team up, how we approached the game tactically, and we came out with a brilliant result, which can now hopefully be the building block for the rest of the season, and it can act like a springboard, because you didn't want to come off the back of the international break from a derby defeat after the negativity that came in before the game. So hopefully we've banished that now, and we can really look forward with positivity. For the game tomorrow, it's really important to back up the derby victory with 3 points. That's the thing that really solidifies that as a good result. We don't want a performance and a result like the last time out at Celtic Park against St Johnstone. We want proper, encouraging, attacking performance, hopefully a convincing victory, and 3 points on the board, as I say, to back up that win. And then we go to Rotterdam during the week for the opening of the Champions League group stage, which is massively exciting for everybody, but it's a huge step up in level for us. So it's a hugely exciting period of the season. Here is the next 6 games as they look. We're obviously at home to Dundee tomorrow, as I say, Feyenoord away during the week. Then we're away to Livingston, which can sometimes be a tough game, and it certainly was for Brendan Rodgers in his first spell as manager of the club. Then we follow that up with another away trip to Fir Park before we face Lazio at Celtic Park, and we close out this block of fixtures before the next international break at home to Kilmarnock. So a lot of big games in there. Obviously the European games take care of themselves in terms of motivation and excitement, but it's really important that we look after these league games as well, because now that we've got rid of the negativity from those 2 domestic games with that win at Ibrox, we want to really just build on that now, and sort of strengthen our position at the top of the table. So tomorrow, in terms of the team, will we see any debutants? We were obviously looking for debutants at Ibrox, but we didn't get any in the starting lineup. The likes of Palma wasn't involved. Phillips didn't even make the squad. Paulo Bernardo was joined too late. He joined too late to be involved as well. So a lot of these guys you'd think would be in and around things tomorrow, but again, the international break throws up some question marks in terms of guys who have travelled quite a distance and played for their national team coming back late. Where will Brendan Rodgers be in his thinking in terms of those sorts of players? Will he see this as an opportunity to put out a starting 11 that's going to be close to that will play in the De Kuip against Feyenoord on Tuesday? There's a lot of question marks about the team tomorrow. Will he want to reward the guys who performed for him at Ibrox? The likes of Liam Scales, who came away with a good performance, ended up getting man of the match on the day. Will he want to reward him with a start tomorrow? But then what questions does that throw up for Tuesday? Because ideally, would you like to get someone like Phillips into the back four, and get minutes in his legs, get him used to how the team functions before that big game on Tuesday? So let's get into it. We'll start in goals, as we always do, with one man who wasn't on international duty, and that's Joe Hart. I thought he was really good at Ibrox. The defence, as I say, playing in front of him, really inexperienced. A lot of players making their debut in that fixture, and as a unit they hadn't played together very much at all, but I thought Hart's leadership and experience really helped calm us down at times. There's obviously been a lot of question marks about Joe Hart, but I thought that was up there with probably his top 5 performances in a Celtic shirt. At Ibrox, he made big saves in the second half when he had to, but as I say, I think his calming presence on the back four really helped us. So hopefully he can build on that and take that into the European campaign as well. I know that's one area where people think we should really improve when we think about the Champions League, but hopefully that can be a positive building block for him in terms of his season as well. Right back, Alistair Johnston. Great to have him back in the team. He was good as well at Ibrox before coming off to be replaced by Tony Ralston, but he's a huge boost for us. He'll play it right back. Centre half is the big one. Nat Phillips has had more training under his belt, obviously, during the break. But I think Brendan Rodgers with Lagerbielke and Scales, they kept a clean sheet at Ibrox. I know at times Lagerbielke in particular on the ball was really, really shaky. And both of them looked uncertain with long balls over the top. I think there's a bit of communication between them that really has to improve with situations like that. Those seem to be the basics of defending, but that's the kind of things in a partnership like we had with Carter Vickers and Starfelt that just go unnoticed because the communication is so clear between them, and they never end up in a situation where both of them are going for a high ball and they misjudge it and they let it fly over their head. That's the kind of thing in an experienced centre-back pairing you don't get, but we've seen that at times at Ibrox. So will Brendan Rodgers want to introduce Nat Phillips? I don't know. I would like to see Phillips come in, particularly with a view to Tuesday night. We know that Carter Vickers isn't going to be back until early October, so I would like to see Phillips play tomorrow with a view to Tuesday night, but this is not what I'm here to do. I'm here to pick the team that I think Brendan Rodgers might go with, and I think he will stick with Lagerbielke and Scales, rightly or wrongly. Going back to that last game at Celtic Park, they'll need to be a lot quicker on the ball, a lot more decisive in terms of their build-up play. Interesting though, you can see on the banner going along the bottom of the screen now that Dundee have forced the highest amount of turnovers in the opposition's defensive third as any team in the league, and we've actually faced the most shots from turnovers in our defensive third as well. So will Dundee play like that at Celtic Park? You would expect, as we see often, oppositions to just retreat to their 18-yard line and defend deep. But interesting listening to Stephen Robinson during the week talk about how his St Mirren team gave us some tough games last season. It was the decision to go with what they do on a week-to-week basis and not change it when it comes to playing a team like Celtic. So will Dundee do that? I don't know. But I think those two will have to be much, much better on the ball than they were even at Ibrox, and certainly in that last game at Celtic Park. Greg Taylor will play at left back. The Champions League squad was obviously confirmed during the international break as well, and Bernabei isn't in it. So Liam Scales looks like the backup left back, and that is something that might come back to bite us depending on how the season plays out. If anything happened to Greg Taylor, we would have to play Liam Scales at left back in the Champions League, which again, he's been used to playing at centre half recently. We know he can deputise at left back as well, but that is an area where we don't have any depth at all, and it's an interesting exclusion that Bernabei isn't in it. It maybe tells you where Brendan Rodgers is at and his thinking with Bernabei's place in the squad. I know it's difficult because you've got the 8 homegrown players and you need to make judgments on the other 17, but for Bernabei to come to the club last season for £3.5 million and then be in a position a season later where he still can't make the European squad probably tells you everything you need to know about his position in the squad right now. Midfield, Callum McGregor captain in the team, of course. In front of him, Matt O'Reilly, who I thought put in a really good performance at Ibrox as well. Could we see a debut for Paulo Bernardo? He played 180 minutes for Portugal, under 21s. Both games were in Portugal as well. So again, will Brendan Rodgers see fit to put him in a starting position? I don't know, given that he hasn't played any minutes at all since he arrived. And he's won because he went away for the under-21s for Portugal, that he didn't even get that chance to train very much at Lennoxtown. So he won't have had much training with the group. And I think that means that David Turnbull will keep his place in midfield. Rio Hatate is back available, and I can already see the comments coming in screaming at me, why are you not starting Rio Hatate? I just think yesterday in the press conference, Brendan Rodgers made reference to waiting for the right time. and getting these players the right minutes. I know that Hatate's a massive player for us, and he's one you would like to see start on Tuesday in Rotterdam, but the one thing we've learned this season already, maybe with Carter Vickers, is you don't want to rush players back after injury. We are not in a position right now, given the injuries we've got in the squad, to be rushing guys back and risking them picking up another injury. We're not in a position to do that. We can't have guys coming back too soon and aggravating injuries. The squad is in a position where we just can't afford that, given the injuries and the players that we're already missing. So I'm going to go with Turnbull. I think we might see minutes for Bernardo off the bench. I think we'll definitely see Hatate off the bench. And as I say, Hatate's one I would really like to see back in the starting 11 on Tuesday. But I do think we have to be careful introducing these guys back into the starting 11 off the back of injuries, because it's already stung us this season with Carter Vickers. The front three, obviously the big injury news there in the last few days is that Liel Abada is going to miss the next 3 to 4 months, might not play until 2024, which is obviously a massive blow. Just signed a new contract, and with the exit of Jota, he's become one of the go-to players in the wide positions. We have got a lot of wingers, but I don't know where the confidence level is at, and with some of them, the likes of James Forrest, can we turn to him now at this stage in his career, thinking ahead to European games? Mikey Johnston is in the Champions League squad. He's obviously currently out injured, so not an option. So we've got numbers in those areas, but the likes of Tilio as well counts in, for the squad in those areas. Hasn't kicked a ball yet. He's back training, but we really can't judge his ability to contribute yet, because we haven't seen him play any minutes. So we have got bodies in those positions, but we don't have a lot of experience, and we don't have guys that have played a lot for Celtic, so we can't judge how good the depth is yet. So that is a big challenge for us. Tomorrow I think Yang will get the nod. I would love to see Lewis Palmer play. I actually had him in my team, and I had to take him out after finding out that he played 180 minutes for Honduras during the international break. I think he only arrived back at Lennoxtown today, which is Friday. So is that enough time? Again, he's one that arrived late in the window. How much training has he had with the team? Can he be thrown in for the start in this game? Probably not. That's maybe a weakness in bringing him in so late in the window, and then having that international break where he hasn't really trained very much at Lennoxtown with the group. So I think he'll start from the bench, but he's another one who I expect to see play at least 15-20 minutes tomorrow, and again get himself in contention for Tuesday night. I think the injury for Abada, I talked before the derby about Abada in terms of him staking his claim, being the first choice in that position, and really improving his output and being a player in that position that Celtic can turn to. This presents an opportunity for the likes of Yang, the likes of Palma, who are new to the club, to prove why the club have signed them, and to take their opportunity at becoming first choice in that position. I think if a player's going to be out for 3 or 4 months, Yang and Palma have got to be thinking, right, I've got to become the first choice in that position. I've got to prove to the manager that I should be week in and week out the first choice in that position. I think Yang will get the nod tomorrow. I think we'll see Palma off the bench. And as I say, both of them have got to take any opportunity they get with both hands. Left-hand side, Dyson Maeda. Through the middle, Kyogo. Both were away with Japan, but I don't think played an awful lot. I think they were both unused in Japan's first game, but then played some minutes in their second game. Those games were played in Germany, which is not quite as bad as if they were played in Tokyo. So I think that's beneficial for us. I think those two are massive players. Maeda was brilliant at Ibrox in terms of his work rate and the ground that he covered. I think with Abada out, he is the senior wide player. And Kyogo through the middle. Another glorious goal in a derby at Ibrox, another match-winning performance. 6 goals in his last 5 or 6 games against Rangers. I think this is a big block for him as well. The one question mark that I still sometimes see people bringing up about Kyogo, despite how brilliant he is and how brilliant he's been, is the Champions League. Hopefully this campaign he can put that to bed and get a couple of goals over the 6 games, and hopefully he can be a match winner for us in the Champions League as well. That is going to be a big step up for everybody, but first of all, the most important thing is getting 3 points tomorrow, getting a really positive performance, a convincing victory at Celtic Park. We've had 2 league games at home so far. There was some uncertainty about the performance in the 4-2 victory over Ross County. And then obviously plenty of question marks following the 0-0 draw against St Johnstone. So hopefully tomorrow we can put on a proper show, a good attacking display, and really back up that victory at Ibrox, and then we can head to Rotterdam in good shape, in good confidence, good spirits to face Feyenoord on Tuesday. That is the team that I think Brendan Rodgers will go with. Please remember, it's not the team that I might necessarily pick. Before you cane me in the comments, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and join us tomorrow outside Celtic Park for all of the full-time reaction. Thank you.